The Sharks fall to the Florida Panthers 3-1 in what can only be described as a chore of a game to watch. Myself and Dana May will be breaking all of this down and more after this. But first, if you want to be a part of the show, come join the conversation and follow us on all of the social media pages. That being out in the YouTube chat, on X, Instagram, Facebook. I can never get this one. It's like Reels or something. Threads. There we go. Reddit, Discord, uh, all of the shenanigans on TikTok, and everything else at tealtownusa.com. Just come support the pod over at Venmo at Teal Town USA or on the Super Chat donation. That always helps out. And again, it's for the fans, by the fans, and let's get into it. Um, Dana, it's good to be with you, and we are here
You
again.
too.
We're here again talking about a Sharks loss
We are. We
yet
sure
again.
are. Yeah.
But
If anyone's having any insomnia, you don't need an Ambien. Just watch a Sharks Florida game.
yeah, I mean, let's just break it down. I mean, you kind of highlighted to me earlier on in our chats, like it's it's all unbearable to watch. The first
Yeah.
period and a half was just pure goalie play. So if you're really into goalie play, then
Yeah.
maybe you had fun.
It was fine. It was like I don't blame anything on Blackwood. What is it with me and I guess every time I'm on After Dark, Blackwood's gonna have a heroic effort that I guess I don't know about this one being heroic, but good, very good. He gave the Sharks a chance to win, you know, and I don't have anything like horrible to say about the Sharks play, but I don't have that much good to say either. Really, my strongest opinions in terms of this game are about the refs. And even then, it's just sort of the usual, that wasn't the whole oh, I guess you'll dive into this, but the whole call against Burrows, and then it's like, oh, maybe the ref realizes, oh yeah, no, I don't think that was really a trip. Okay, I gotta figure out something to, send Florida to the box for, just that's the most interesting thing I have to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, you we're at kind of a loss for words here, and that's just because, for a game that had, let's look at here, so, a more than 60 shots on goal, it just seemed really dry.
It
I mean,
didn't feel like it.
it really didn't feel like it. It
Yeah.
felt like, both teams were playing a defensive type posture game. And when you got into their own zone, they were turtling up. Then you got these perimeter shots. And, maybe a little bit of strong forechecking. I mean, at times it seemed like the Sharks could forecheck a little bit, get the puck back, and
Hmm.
mount a little bit of a pressure. But still, I mean, being outshot 9-15 in the first period, coming back out in the second and being, outshot 10-12, and then coming back in the third and, outshooting 9-8, but just overall, just kind of a lackluster effort with the shot selection, kind of a lackluster effort
Hmm.
with really trying to get dangerous shots. I mean, I saw Barabanov playing well, so I mean that's good. But ended up, coming off
Yeah.
late in the third. I thought Zetterlund played well. Eki. Um,
Hmm.
um, so the guys
Always.
that you wanted to see, play well, the youngins, they played. I think they played well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, that's something to talk about. Eklund had chef's kiss pass to Sorry, I don't have my post-its with me. Spoiler alert, I had 1.5 post-its and they weren't that interesting.
To
Oh
Zetterlund
my
on
God,
the
who had the goal?
to Zetterlund on the power play, the
You
power play
literally just
goal.
said that.
Yeah.
No, I just remember it for the Eklund pass, and I'm like, yes, like this is what we have him for. So it's good to see he's coming through. Like I feel like, hey, like it could be worse. Like that's really how I feel about this game. Like it could have been worse. It could have been a lot better, but yeah, like they said on the broadcast, like this was the Sharks' best game, and still nothing. Like it
Yeah.
was their least bad game, I think is how I would put it.
Yeah.
Colorado was goodish too,
Yeah, no,
but
I mean Colorado I think was good. Again, another strong effort by, Mackenzie Blackwood, so really keeping, the Sharks in it.
man of the hour.
Um, and when he plays, every time I see him on the ice, he looks like a guy who wants to prove himself and a guy who wants to be a number
Mhm.
one. And when I see Capo Kakkonen out there, I don't see that right now. I see a guy who is still kind of unsure of himself, kind of unsure of his technique. And right now, I like the option of Mackenzie Blackwood being the number one for the Sharks. And I know the team has been looking for an heir apparent, for goaltending. It seems like since, I mean, even Niemi wasn't a solution, right? So it seems like since Nabby, that stability has just not been
Since
in
the
their
Bach.
nets. Yeah, yeah, and so maybe Blackwood will turn into that. I would hope, but I think this is what
I
you've kind of got to
mean,
do is you've got to cycle through goaltenders, and especially goaltenders with stuff to prove. I think that's how you can get the most out of goaltenders, especially with the way in which the Sharks play defense or lack thereof. You got to have a guy who is wanting to see a lot of pucks, a guy who is fundamentally sound, and looking for the ability to steal a number one net. And I like what Mackenzie Blackwood is doing, and I think you had said it had said it early on. None of these goals that were scored on him were his fault, and nothing. He played well. He was moving laterally very well, tracking the puck very well. But we'll just kind of get into that second period. The Sharks do end up opening the scoring after being outplayed for what seemed like a period and a half. They come in and score at 8:30. It's Fabian Zetterlund on the power play, his second of the season. Eklund and Bordelot with the assists. So the baby Sharks getting the points there. And yes, we all make our baby shark do noises. But again, you want to see the growth in the youngins. You're seeing some creativity, and you're going to really see some growth from those guys. And again, I think when we're looking at a team that is this bad, you have to pick out the positives. And again, it's a work in progress. When the youngins had it it was a very ad hoc type play. But you kind of you kind of dig the way that they brought it in off the rush. Dana, what did you see on the power play that you really liked? I thought you said something about Eki and Bordelot having good chemistry there.
um, yeah, I guess I didn't bring up Bordelot, but for sure I kind of forgot that he also assisted on that goal. I mean, they seemed really in it. Like I've been surprised. I guess the Sharks' power play numerically hasn't been good at all, but like I, I'm glad that you know they that's the one area where I think they're sort of adjusting to not having EK65. Someone in the chat said, sort of Denver Doyle, think the team is still getting used to life without EK65. It shows. But hey, I mean, at least if the young guys are doing well, like they're learning. And yeah, they're trying new things.
Yeah. And I mean, we had a couple of questions, and a couple of comments like Mikey, saying, Blackwood came to play, or Jim in Florida asking, is there really a number one goaltender if you never win a game? And I think these are all fair comments to bring up. But I think what I would say is of the games in which Mackenzie Blackwood has played, his physicality, the I think the way in which the team plays in front of him, I think they just play with a little bit more of a free type game, and I wonder if it's a confidence thing. But he just
Hmm.
seems like
Yeah,
a
Kakinen has some nervous energy sometimes.
right. Yeah, I was just
That's
that
what
was
makes
where
me a
exactly
little
where I was going with
anxious.
that.
And Blackwood seems more confident. Like something happens, he can shake it off.
Yeah, exactly, and so I think the team feeds off of that. And for Capo Kakinen, one thing I would really stress to him would be to get his game quiet, to move with more efficiency instead of being more of a scrambly type goaltender. Mackenzie Blackwood when he's out there, he seems like he kind of reminds me a little bit of Jonathan Quick in the way he goes into the butterfly very quickly, but his movement efficiency I think is better than Quick's. Where Quick kind of just went into the butterfly with reckless abandon, and that's what ended up shooting his hips, for the long run. I think Mackenzie gets into the butterfly maybe a skosh slower, but you can see his efficiency of movement is really, I think it's better, and I think that it looks more confident than Capo Kakinen, who seems like he needs to take an extra stride, or he seems like he needs to take an extra leg kick or something to try to get into position. So again, I think when I'm looking at a goaltender, yes, I look at wins for sure. But I also look at the way in which he moves and the way in which they kind of attack the net, insofar as in their starts, and the way in which they attack the crease, and they come out and they work their angles. So again, I'm just seeing from what I've seen so far, Mackenzie Blackwood to me is the early favorite. Um, but again, I could be wrong. Nobody's won a game, so people are absolutely right. If you don't win a game, you don't deserve to be a number one. But of the losses that we've seen, I think I've seen Mackenzie Blackwood play better.
Yeah, I think the numbers would agree. Um, as would I. But I
Um,
mean, yeah, like the silver lining of not having any ambitions or delusions of grandeur is we don't really have to worry about who the number one goalie is. Like if someone emerges and really makes a statement and is like, "Look, I am the clear better option." Great. We're in no rush. You know what I mean? Like goaltending is kind of the least of the Sharks' problems. So
what do you think is the
yeah, I
Sharks'
mean
number
it's
one
been
problem right
weird.
now?
What that is a good question. Effort from the main guys, honestly. I feel like the kids are a lot more visible, which is good, but and like I don't know what's going on with Vlasic, some kind of personal, I don't know, about him getting scratched tonight, which, like, as far as on ice play makes sense and has made sense for a while, but I can understand why coaching staff is has been apprehensive to bench him even when he probably deserved it because it's like he's a veteran, you don't want to disrespect him, but like I don't know. um
No, I mean, you're going along in the right direction. I think I also see that the kids bring a little bit more juice every night. I looked at a guy like Jan Ruda, who I was praising his defensiveness, previous games, but tonight looked slow and, looked like a guy
Yeah.
who was, kind of a passenger. Tomas Hurdle
Mhm.
took some good steps tonight. I liked the way in which he played in the face-off. I liked his forechecking. I thought Kevin
Mhm.
LeBanc, played a decent game.
Right, right. Oh my God, they finally played him. I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't watch the last game, but did they play him last game?
He had played, I think, before.
Ah, okay. If I were him, I would be just so done with the Sharks. Like, he could have traded me forever ago. It's like crazy to think he's still here, but hey, he's still young, even though it feels like he's been here forever. Like 27? Um, so I guess like mid-career by hockey player standards, but you know, hey, maybe he could become more of a presence. I don't know. It just feels like no coach has ever really had confidence in him. And as fans, we've just always been kind of scratching our heads because, like, sometimes he does things that warrant benching, but we've always felt like if he just gets to play a little bit more and has a little bit more of a leash, like, again, we have no delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
There's no cup on the line.
No, no, but for a guy who's on an a guy who's got one more year left on his contract, but a guy who you're trying to showcase, like Ian
Hmm.
Reed had said, why tank his
Yeah.
value? Why artificially tank his value? And again, if you're trying to get some more assets and you're trying to move on from him as a player, then you know, get him some more playing time and get him the ability to showcase what he can do, and that way, when comes time, you're able to get some assets for him. We'll quickly go through the rest of the game. In the second period, Carter Verhaeghe gets the game scored at 9:48, and that came on a wrist shot, even strength. When that one was kind of the pisser, right? You thought, the the goal that they would eventually give up next on the power play was kind of inevitable, but the one that tied it up really was a cheapie, and really was the Sharks not paying attention in their own zone, giving it up, and the you know Kachuk and Listerine and coming in and getting the assists there, but Kachuk really doing the yeoman's work in the corner and getting the puck out. And again, if you are lollygagging in your own zone, Matthew Kachuk is going to come over and, take your lunch, and he did it. And, again, the Sharks, they're going to learn. But again, like I said before, their defensive zone is just a mess right now. And we've continually talked about it over and over and over again. But, you still see the same things. Sam Reinhart would get the Florida Panthers on top, 2-1 at 15:23, and that was the power play goal. That's his seventh of the season. Ekman Larson and Rodriguez getting the assists there. And then in the third period, you had the empty net goal, and that was from Stunlin, and that came at 1958. And that's when the Sharks had the goaltender pulled. But let's talk about that third period and that third period power play that the Sharks had. I mean, Dana, when they got the puck and when they got that power play awarded very late, I mean, all of about tuned out and turned off the game because it's a continual it's a continual narrative with this team that
Hmm.
in the big moments, whether it be in the beginning of periods, the end of periods, or getting power plays at critical moments in the game, this team for the last 3 seasons plus has not been able to execute. And I don't know if that's just because of a lack of personnel or if it's because it's gripping the stick too hard or a combination of both. But, at some point,
Personnel.
Yeah, I mean, at some point they're gonna have to come back and really focus on the power play very granularly, and they're gonna have to maybe dumb it down. Maybe the system is too, too much, too intricate. I don't know, but at this point, when you get a late power play, I almost, you like you had said last year, can you forfeit it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like kind of shocking to see when it's a 6-on-4 and doesn't look different. It's easy to forget they're even on the power play. Like it doesn't seem like they play, or there's not like a huge difference between how they play when they literally have an extra person or two. Um, Everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and like, yeah, just adjusting to not having EK65 literally holding the power play's hand through the entire year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's life without EK. It's life without Henry Thrun, who they took out who they took out and they put down into the minors. Um,
Upsetting. Upsetting.
oh, it's really upsetting because I thought that this team was on the trajectory of full rebuilds. We're going to really focus and pay attention upon the young players. The young players are going to get more opportunities than not. I understand that you want to have players fight for positions, but if you have mediocre players that you go out and you sign, and I'm sorry, but Matt Benning is not good and is not, more than a third pairing defenseman at best on a Stanley Cup winning team. He's probably more
Yeah.
like a seventh defenseman, and he's going to be trotted out on your second pairing or your first, depending upon the personnel movement. It is just ridiculous. And I love a face puncher as much as the next guy, but I don't understand why we've got one on the blue line. I just
Yeah.
put Mukamadulin up
We
or
don't have
bring
anyone.
I just
Where's Chichek?
right Chichek or
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't really follow the Barracuda as much as I should, but like, yeah, they have guys. It's like I almost forget. I'm like, who do we have to replace Benning? Oh wait, we have tons of people. Who like they might not have as much like NHL experience, but like they have to learn. Like, how are you going to have a team in 2, 3, 4 years? You expect free agents to sign and just fill all the spots magically? Like, guys used to want to sign in San Jose. I don't think they do anymore. At least not the big names. Like,
I think San Jose right now, Dana, is a destination in which you're looking to reclamate your reputation.
yeah,
You're looking to have a bounce back season on a poor team that can highlight what you can do.
yeah.
Um,
Actually, that encapsulates like every single signing in the last year and a half. So
yeah, yeah,
makes sense. And you
and
think like that gives motivation, individually, but as a team, maybe not.
no, I mean I'm just Anthony Duclair completely invisible tonight. I mean Luke Cunnin, I don't know what the hell he's doing on this team anymore. I mean, like I said, Jan Ruda, bad, real bad game. I mean, Kyle Burrows, like I said, I love me a face smasher, but do we really have to have one on the blue line? I just, I mean, Ty Embersum, the guy that we picked up on waivers, he looked decent. Um, and Mario Ferraro. and Kanizhov. I mean, those, out of those three, I, I feel like are pieces that you think are pieces that you would want to continue to have going forward. But again, I come back to Matt Menning, Kyle Burrows. Again, um, I don't know. Mika Ohataku. I mean, I don't know. He's on a conditioning stint, so acquired via trade,
Mhm.
conditioning loan. Sorry. I just, I don't know what we're doing here. I really don't. It feels like we've got one foot in and one foot out, and it feels like I'd rather see a team full of just young upstarts and guys who are just trying to prove it versus a team of no name and fringe NHLers at this point.
Yeah. Gosh, I always try and find, something to kind of, um, I don't know, be happy about or like make the after dark fun and playful somehow. And like I said, guys, I literally had like 1.5 post-its, nothing that interesting on them. Even though like it wasn't like at least I'm not saying I wish the Sharks played like horribly, but at least when it's one of those games, I'm amped up. I can hop on here and like we'll rant, the like at least we're all collectively feeling emotion. And I just don't feel anything. It's like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we're teetering between, apathetic and this, watching Sharks games becoming an actual chore. And I never thought I would hear myself ever say
yeah.
that. Um,
I know.
I'm a 90. I'm a 94. That was my first game, 95, whatever it was. This is my team, and this is our team, and um, it's just really difficult to watch the team in this era and
Mhm.
watch the team with a lack of cohesion, a lack of a game plan, and seeing a bunch of guys out there on the ice just looking for cookies. And
Yeah, just to, sorry if I might respond to the chat talking about tanking and we've got some tankers. I always talk about like you want to be fun bad. You can still be at the bottom of the league, but have it be because you have more experienced younger players who are maybe have a supporting cast of a few fringe older NHL players, but like there's progress being made in that case. Also, I'm just not Team Tank really like ever, like, to an extreme degree. Like, probably at the end of last season was as close as you'll ever see me to that. Celebrini seems lovely, but, even if you're the worst, it doesn't necessarily get you the top pick. And I gotta hop on a after dark every 2 weeks or so and like talk about the game so you can understand why I'm not gonna just be like, oh, good, they lost, like I want to watch something.
yeah, yeah, and again, I mean, people bringing up, you know, tanking and losing is good and all of this, but like you said, a number one overall is not guaranteed. I mean, I think we saw last
Look at
year.
the Oilers.
Yeah,
What have they done?
yeah,
I
and
guess okay, they've done some in the playoffs, but like you would think a player like McDavid would surely they'd have a cup within 10 years. It's been 8 years, guys.
yeah, yeah, and but I mean,
So
I'm just saying, like, even if the Sharks do end up with, the best odds, so Lebrani, Sabrani or whatever you want to, whatever his pronunciation,
Celebrini, I think.
Celebrini.
Yeah, hey,
Sorry.
they could flip our logo over upside down like they did.
Yeah, I mean Aaron Jack
That was
saying,
one part of the draft lottery that made me smile.
I mean, but like right here, I mean Aaron brings it up. Chicago got Bedard, and look, I don't want to say that
Rude.
we're look, I'm not going to say we're conspiracy theorists, but I've been a Sharks fan long enough to know that if it smells kind of funky, it probably means that we're getting the short end of the stick on something. And
Yeah.
I
It just sucks because I feel like Bedard would have been great here. I mean, I know everyone would say that about their team, but like just to inject some
solves a lot of
excitement back
problems.
into, yeah.
Solves a lot of
And
problems.
again, every team wanted Bedard. Um,
I mean,
but
I was happy
we
with
don't need to go
Fantilli.
into it, but huh?
I mean, I would have been happy with
Yeah,
Fantilli.
yeah, yeah. And I'm sure I don't want any of this to hang over Will Smith's head, that we wish that he were someone else. Obviously, he's a bit away. He's from, making it to the NHL. I hope that we can all keep an open mind about him. But yeah, it's gonna be hard to shake off the feeling of disappointment that we as fans feel. And yeah, here we are rehashing the draft lottery because the game was just that boring.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, we look at. I think we have to look at the previous Cup winners and the way in which they did it. I mean, Vegas was pretty ruthless in its acquiring of players, and maybe that's the way in which you got to be. But I
I
also
think
look.
free agents really liked signing there. Guys wanted to be there.
But
So they
I
had
look
that
at what
going for them.
I look at Colorado, and I look at how the sustained success that they have had, and what was it? I mean, it was 4 years of drafting pretty well. I mean, it was Rantanen, and it was first it was oh my God, Nathan McKinnon. But then it goes from Nathan McKinnon to Mikko Rantanen to the Kale McCarr, and so they really did a good job in the way in which they drafted and really hit on their first rounders. I think
Yeah,
Eki,
they never had I mean, they got McKinnon, number one 10 years ago, but you remember their absolutely like horrible, like worst team ever season
I think what that was
in
the
like
Patrick Waugh one
2017, 2018 or something.
one of the Patrick Waugh
Yeah,
seasons, I
yeah,
think,
they didn't
right?
get number one overall after that, but they did a good job supporting their young guys. I mean, I guess they had drafted Kale McCarr the previous year, so that helps. But they were in the absolute dumpster, and they won a cup. What? I can't do math. 4 years later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it seems like you've got to have one superstar player, one and one generational player. You got to link those two up. So and one uber defenseman. And I think that that's kind of you have that
Yeah,
trifecta, and you build around that, and that's why you kind of think, well, Edmonton, why
they
haven't they?
didn't build around it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just realized actually Colorado's terrible season was 2016, 2017. Then they got Kale McCarr at fourth. And then there was that whole drama in Philly like a few years ago where like let me go into that. I don't know if you guys remember where it was like, oh well, Bobby Clark, I want to say, was like, oh well, I told them all to draft Kale McCarr, and they drafted Nolan Patrick, and um,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
I'm like
A zero
talking
one
about
two three.
drafts from years ago. That's our cue to wrap.
Yeah, right. A012345. If we were betting on the Sharks to win the cup through drafting, we'll be waiting for a long time. And I think that that's kind of the key message. Is I think we're going to be waiting a
But
little
it's
bit.
it's an essential piece.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think you had said it. Let's wrap this thing up and let's put it to bed and try and salvage what we can from this evening and go from there. So, in case you missed it and you want to check us out again, check us out on the YouTube Rewind or on your podcatcher of choice, that being the Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, the YouTube Rewind, aforementioned, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, Audacity, and always on tealtownusa.com. And again, it was lovely to be joined by you, Miss Dana May. I would love to get your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Oh gosh. Final thoughts. TBD. We'll see. I'll watch next game, then I'll let you know.
Well, one final thought I
Yeah.
have for you. Awesome bobbleheads.
Thank you. Yeah. I maybe we need to lower this a little bit or like shift it, but yeah, and I don't know if anyone can spot the John Carlson bobblehead up here. He's hanging. If I'm on an After Dark playing the Caps, I'll take it down. But yeah, my husband used to live in Washington. He went to one game. They had a bobblehead. So, yep. Everyone else is a Shark
Yeah. And I'm at Eric Landy, ErikLandi, across all of the social media garbage. And as far as my final thoughts go, guys, just make it interesting. Don't make it a chore to watch your games. Um, let's get some enthusiasm going. I know we haven't won
Yeah.
yet,
Try Michigan. Why
but
not?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, with that, I think we're going
Sure.
to end it up for the evening. So, as we like to end, as always, from all of us, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. And thank you. And we will catch you after the next game. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Thanks, everybody, and have a great one.